Hey folks, this is Warwolf howling at you. Yes, it's a second video. It's only a couple of hours since my last one, and I'm basically just doing a quick little thing here. This is basically just my take on something that I've noticed basically since late March. So, I'm basically here to ask just one question, and it comes down to one simple thing. Is Jungle Boy ready? And you're probably wondering, well, what am I talking about? Well, the fact of the matter is, a couple of weeks back, I did my first review of an episode of Dynamite, and it was, in fact, the episode in which Jungle Boy, Sammy Guevara, and Darby Allin all came out during a celebration for MJF, in which all three of them made the challenge to get a chance at the world title. Now, I said this before, I'll say it again. I think this could go one of three different ways, but the third one is the one that I kind of want to talk about the most. But let me give you the general rundown here. My initial thought of this was that it was going to be a potential fatal four-way match at Double or Nothing, in which MJF will defend the championship against all three of his challengers. It would certainly be interesting. I don't think I've ever seen that for the world title, at least not that I can recall since I've been watching AEW. But it's a 50-50 shot as to whether or not that is where they're going with it. Well, I say a 50-50 shot, but let's just put it this way. It's one of three ways I can see this going. Another way that I see this going potentially is a gauntlet match where it is literally MJF defending against all three men, one after the other, potentially with one man. If they defeat MJF and then going on to deal with the other two, we could see a new champion no matter what. Now, the other one that I want to bring up is where I think it could just end up being MJF versus Jungle Boy. Now, the reason behind this, in my opinion, is because, well, Jungle Boy is the one that they have most seemed to be focusing on in this. As I mentioned, when all three of them came out, Jungle Boy is the only one he got physical with. While the other two kind of got physical against him, Jungle Boy is the only one that MJF deliberately laid hands on. And my real question about this is Jungle Boy really in the right position to even be challenging for the championship at this time? Let me say this right here, right now. I have absolutely nothing against Jungle Boy as a talent. In fact, I love his work. For somebody whom, quite frankly, I would have never expected to be related to somebody from an old TV show from the late 90s, specifically the late Luke Perry, who ended up becoming one of the major stars of the 90s, and I would assume probably something resembling a teen heartthrob, because again, he was on Beverly Hills 90210. He was in the Revival before his untimely passing. I think he was also on Lucifer? I might be thinking of a different show, but I mean, if I'm wrong about that, somebody correct me in the comments. My whole point, though, is Jungle Boy is a great talent, and I've seen him in the world title picture before. He had a great match with Kenny Omega, and it's a match I would love to see again. The problem is, in roughly the last, half a year to a year, if not a little longer, we haven't really seen him do much in the singles division. And what we have seen him largely doing in the singles division is a feud with Christian Cage, who, as far as I know, is not particularly highly ranked in the AEW standings. This was something that they sold us on, the idea that the AEW rankings meant something. While they keep a general running tally of every win, loss, draw, whatever, they've also stated that at the start of every year, the win-loss records, quote-unquote, reset for the year, even though, again, they do keep that running tally. Most of Jungle Boy's wins, as far as I'm aware, have been in the tag team division, as part of what was then known as Jurassic Express, alongside Luchasaurus, and occasionally with the aid of Marco Stunt, who I have no idea where he went. But then we get literally the last couple of months, he had a great feud with Christian Cage. I'm not denying that at all. Again, I love the man's skills. I love the man's talent in the ring. But I don't know if he's ready to be in a world title situation right now when you look at the fact that he hasn't nearly had the same amount of success or even the same amount of screen time as Darby Allin and Sammy Guevara, who were both the other two men who came out to challenge MJF that night. So let's talk about that. Sammy Guevara, 3-time former TNT champion. Darby Allin's held it at least twice, I believe. And both men have had absolutely phenomenal matches in the last basically 2 years in the singles division. Yes, both have gone into the tag divisions as well. And of course, Sammy has been part of two very specific stables. First, the Inner Circle, which has effectively completely disbanded, as far as I know. And the other, more recently, being the Jericho Appreciation Society. So on that level, he's gotten a little bit of singles, trios, tag team. He's done a little bit of everything. Darby Allin's kind of in the same boat. The man was TNT champion for a good while. It took Miro, I think, to beat him, if I'm remembering the title lineage correctly. And I believe it was either Miro or I think it was Brody Lee. I think it might have been Brody Lee. Initially, who beat him, and then obviously Miro got his hands on the belt, but Darby was not able to claim the title back from him for some time. He ultimately, I think, ended up taking the belt temporarily from Samoa Joe. Joe eventually got it back, lost it to Wardlow, who currently is in the process of, I think, trying to get it back from Powerhouse Hobbs or something. So Darby has had, that variation of opponents, and he's had the real, amount of time on screen, along with Sammy Guevara, to really justify them challenging for the World Championship. Now, I don't know exactly where Jungle Boy actually sits in the rankings. I'm not entirely sure where Darby and Sammy sit in the rankings. But they do make a point of showing us usually the rankings for the wrestlers, at least as they stand during the course of the year. As a result of this, I'm not sure, again, that Jungle Boy technically is even able to challenge for the championship. I believe you have to be in something like the top 5, maybe top 10 of the rankings. Now, they may have changed that. They may have retconned it out so that this way he can have this match. Because I don't remember where he is in the rankings. I don't think I've seen the rankings actually listed in some time. If anybody does know where he's actually ranked, please let me know. From a storyline perspective, though, I'm still wondering if he really is in that position where he's ready to be in the world title picture again. He found his way to that position during, Kenny Omega's time with the world title. Was a great match, and again, I'd love to see these two go at it again. As far as MJF, right now, we know obviously he's the world champion. We know Sammy and Darby are right up there. They've got to be somewhere in the top 10, maybe top 15. I don't know where Jungle Boy is in the listing. But I do find it interesting that MJF was very, very specifically getting physical with Jungle Boy. That's why I think out of the 3, I think you've got 2 possibilities. Either that fatal 4-way or a one-on-one with Jungle Boy. The question is Jungle Boy ready? Is Jungle Boy in a position where he can, in fact, go head-to-head with MJF and have it feel like it's earned? He had a great match with Christian Cage in that final casket or final coffin match, whatever they called it. But the only times we've seen him in the last couple of months to a year has been in regard to his feud with Christian Cage for the most part. He's had a handful of matches here and there, but Christian and by extension Luchasaurus, who basically has been reduced to his lackey, have been the constant focus for Jungle Boy. And that makes perfect sense in a certain amount of storytelling. Where I have the problem is whether or not he can, in fact, be able to switch gears and have it be believable that he's suddenly challenging MJF after having basically been dealing with Christian and Luchasaurus this entire time. Yes, he said he wants a championship in 2023, and we know that Christian Cage is dead set against that happening. So I do expect that Luchasaurus and Christian will get involved at some point in the next few weeks. They might even get involved at Double or Nothing. Regardless of the situation, I do believe that they are going to put him back into that feud with Christian and Luchasaurus at some point. My question to you, because I want to hear your reactions, I want to hear your thoughts. I love seeing the guy wrestle. I want to see him as a champion in the singles division at some point. I just don't know if right now is the time to have him go up against MJF. I think they needed to build him up a little bit more, get him out of the shadow of his feud with Christian and Luchasaurus, and then maybe late summer to mid-fall, possibly even at the November pay-per-view, which I think that's full year. If somebody wants to correct me on that, please do. But I could see that being where they would have him go up against MJF, whether or not he's slated to win or lose that particular match. I don't know if having him come off a feud with somebody who I don't even think is ranked right now in the top 20. Because remember, Christian hasn't been on AEW TV in several months as a competitor. He's been involved in the feud with Jungle Boy, sure, and a couple of months ago he had that match with Jungle Boy where he lost, and again, great match. But when you think about the fact that he's been off of the ring, roster because he was injured, the fact that they kept the feud going, hey, great, keep it fresh in people's minds, but did that negatively affect Jungle Boy in this now unique situation where he's coming off a feud with somebody who really I don't think was even ranked, and now he's trying to shoot for the world title? Did those wins against Christian Cage and Luchasaurus, which again were his only truly notable wins in really the last half year or so, because again, he's been feuding with them for a while, and they've been interfering in a lot of his other matches, sometimes to the point of costing him matches. Was that enough to really propel him into the top rankings? I don't know. But I want to hear from you. Do you think he's ready? Do you think from a storyline perspective that this makes sense? Or should they have waited? Again, he is one of the so-called four pillars. That's him, MJF, Sammy, and Darby Allin. They are the future stars of AEW. They are the homegrown talent. And I do believe that Jungle Boy is going to become a world champion at some point because he's stuck it out. I mean, most people would say, wait, this is the son of Luke Perry? He'll never last. Now, to be fair, I had said the same thing when I found out that Mike Mizanin, these days known as The Miz, was some guy coming into professional wrestling off of a reality TV show. As far as I'm aware, Jack Perry has never been in the situation where he's done anything other than professional wrestling. But people are going to look at him a little bit sideways because, again, he's the son of a TV star. The problem is, for those people, that they don't realize he's earned his place in professional wrestling. Nobody will ever hear me say that he hasn't earned his spot. What you will hear me say right now, because again, I'm asking you, is this the right time? Is he ready to step out of that feud with Christian and into potentially a program, whether it be short-term or long-term, with the world champion? He has not been in the title picture since he and Luchasaurus lost the tag team titles. I don't think I can remember him even going after the TNT belt. He might have, but if he did, it was such a long time ago, and I don't remember who he would have been up against, that it probably doesn't matter. And if that did happen, it was probably Miro, but that's beside the point. So tell me in the comments, hit like, hit subscribe, tell your friends about the channel, and, just tell me what you think. Is he ready, not just potentially to be in a world title match again, but is he potentially ready to carry the top belt? Again, I see this guy as a future world champion. And I think that'll happen sooner rather than later. But is it going to happen now? And if it is he really ready to carry the burden of having the company on his back? Now, from a storyline perspective, MJF, he's a dick. Now, I have no idea what the man himself is like behind the scenes. Obviously he's very different from who he portrays, on camera. But obviously, Tony Khan and the rest of AEW, whether it even be in the short term, think that he's ready to be the world champion. But is Jungle Boy in that same position? Tell me what you think. I'd love to hear back from you guys. And, again, I hope you guys all had a great Easter. It is now not Easter, at least here on the East Coast. And I hope you guys were all having an excellent holiday. Yeah, my joke sucks. Seriously, just deal with it. Yeah, give me your thoughts. Give me your thoughts. Give me a like. Give me a subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Tell your friends because, again, it absolutely does help with the YouTube algorithm. And again, that's Jungle Boy right there on the left side of your screen. That's MJF on the right side. What I want to know is now the right time for this? Is now the right time for Jungle Boy versus MJF? Let me know what you think. Tell me your thoughts in the comments. Give me your reasons why or why not. I'll try to get back to you. I'll try to respond. I might even do a second video if you guys have enough comments or responses for me or what have you. Take care, folks. Happy Easter. Or post-Easter, as the case may be.